On today's episode, you'll hear how small businesses can move beyond social media followers and start building real relationships they actually own. This is the Be a Marketer podcast.
Be a Marketer.
My name is Dave Charest, Director of Small Business Success at Constant Contact, and I help small business owners like you make sense of online marketing. And on this podcast, we'll explore what it really takes to market your business, even if marketing's not your thing. No jargon, no hype, just real stories to inspire you and practical advice you can act on. So remember, friend, you can be a marketer, and at Constant Contact, we're here to help. Well, hello, friend, and thanks for joining us for another episode of the Be a Marketer podcast. And of course, that means the person that keeps this show running smoothly is here. That's right. Say hello to Kelsey Carter. Hi, Kelsey.
Hi, Dave. I love that intro. I feel
Well,
so special.
Trying to keep things surprising for you for here and out. So here we go. You ready? What's one thing, or is there something in your life that you're like, all right, I'm not going to rent that. I'm not going to borrow it. Like, you have to own it on your own.
That's a really good question. I would honestly say, for me, a weed whacker has become, which sounds crazy, but all last summer we kept having to steal my fiance's grandpa's weed whacker. And I noticed like this year we need it too. So I'm just like, I need to own my own. I can't just borrow someone's, but also a phone. A cell phone. I need to own my own phone.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So what is it about, or what would it have been about owning the weed whacker? Let's go with that example. That like makes the difference to you.
I think it's just the transportation of it. It's right there, like with me. I can store it how I want to store it because her grandpa does not take the best care of his when it's not in my possession.
Yeah.
So it's more of knowing that I will be taking care of it and it will be getting used properly and stored properly.
There you go.
And then, I just don't have to worry about like having to go pick it up. If I want to see something I want to weed whack, I can be like, okay, let me just go to my garage. which
I love that you get that voice too.
I do.
You get already.
The second I enter, I'm like, oh, my garage.
Excellent. Well, so, like one of those things for me, right? When I think about that, it's like, all right, I think we talked about this a little bit the other day, but like a car, for example, right? Like I'm not going to go lease a car, or at least not anymore, right? I'm at the point where I'm like, no, I just want to buy the thing because I want to be done with it. I don't want to be making payments, but I also don't want to be in that situation where like, oh, if something happens, I got to make sure I do this because I don't really own the thing, right? Like I have to be kind of like beholden to all of these different rules that are going on. The reason I bring this up is because like I think this is one of those things that, that's one of the things I like to own, but also we talk a lot about this idea of like owning your audience when it comes to marketing. And essentially what we're talking about is this idea that, yes, social media is cool. We know so many people will start there, but at the end of the day, you're kind of on rented land when you think about what that means, right? Like you don't own the platform. And if something changes or the site goes down or whatever the case may be, you actually don't have any access to those people that are your followers or that are connected with your pages, right? And so, I don't know, it's just one of those things that, like ownership really does make a big difference. I'm looking forward to the day where the bank no longer owns my home, because I think that will hit a little bit differently too.
Yeah.
Right? But like, again, in reality, like, well, you don't really own that either, right? And so, until you've paid it off 100%. And so I like that a little better. And so we're kind of had this conversation today with some folks from the Constant Contact team, of course, just a little bit more about that idea and some of the things that we're doing on the product side. So Kelsey, who's joining us today?
We have 3 wonderful guests. So they are Jesus Flores, Ryan Burke, and Mike Crawford. They're product leaders at Constant Contact. Jesus is a product manager focused on audience growth. Ryan Burke is a director of product focusing on small business growth. And Mike Crawford is a senior product manager responsible for the contacts experience. They're the ones behind some of the new tools that make it easier to grow and manage your list, even if you're just starting out.
Yeah, of course, always great to chat with the folks behind the scenes that are responsible for making improvements to the Constant Contact product. In our conversation today, we talk about why building your contact list is the smartest move you can make, especially if you're relying on social media, how Constant Contact's new lead magnet tool helps you capture more qualified leads, even from social, and ways to use your contact data to send smarter, more effective marketing campaigns without needing a full-fledged CRM. So let's get into our conversation here. I want to kind of set the stage for our conversation here today. And I think probably a good way to start this is talking about Constant Contact's latest Small Business Now report. It's called Growth in Motion. And the whole goal of it was really to explore the mindset and the marketing and the goals of new small businesses. And these are folks started in the last 5 years. And one of the findings that I think is really interesting and a big good backdrop for our conversation today, but 63% of the small businesses that we talk to rely on social media as their main marketing channel. And with 54% of those people really planning on keeping it as their primary channel in 2025. And I guess it makes sense, right? Like a lot of businesses are starting on social media, and it really feels like an easy way to start building your audience because there's a low barrier of entry, and a lot of people are actually probably familiar with it, right? But it's also, I think, really kind of risky when you think about continuing that as your primary channel, because you don't own those followers. So I was just having a conversation earlier today with someone, we've got another potential TikTok ban coming up, and it happened before. And, we see this all the time. These channels change their algorithms. They make a different spin someplace else where they want to focus on a certain type of content. And then suddenly, as a business owner, your reach is gone. You don't know what to do. And you don't have access to that audience that you've worked so hard to kind of build on the platform. And the good news is, I think in all of this, the other thing that we've seen is that 33% of the small business owners see email marketing as an underutilized tool for converting leads and just building customer loyalty. And so I think as the business starts to mature, they're recognizing that there is value in being able to have that direct connection with their customers. And I think we would all here agree on that. And so, Jesus, I wanted to start by going to you. We're talking a little bit about this idea, but from your perspective, how are you seeing small businesses really kind of, I guess, miss the mark, right? By just starting and then staying on social alone.
Yeah, you touched on the bans of TikTok and some of the algorithm changes. And I think that's maybe not commonly known or thought of, is that social media reach is governed by algorithms that can change, platform policies that can change, and that can cause a sudden drop in visibility for an audience that you worked so hard to build. You don't own your followers on social media platforms. And so, an example is a business who might have a large following on a platform that suddenly becomes less popular, banned, changes its algorithm, and that reduces your ability to now reach that audience. And so if a social media platform faces these types of issues, your connection with your audience is essentially disrupted, right? Like I think about local businesses who rely heavily on a social media platform, let's say like a local bakery that sends out or like posts out weekly specials. If that platform goes down, you lose your primary method of communicating with your customers. And that's just an important factor of why you should diversify your communication channels. I think another miss is just simply having a lack of direct communication, as I kind of touched on, where social media doesn't offer that same direct line of communication as an email list. Your messages can get lost in the noise of the platform. So unlike email, where your messages land directly in an inbox that the subscriber owns, social media posts are competing for an attention in an already crowded feed with a ton of others who are like you. And that highlights the importance of having multiple ways of reaching your audience, especially with email, so that you're not getting lost in that noise. I think lastly, but highly important, are just those misconversion opportunities. Businesses might gain attention on social media, but fail to convert that interest into tangible leads or customers by not capturing email contacts. And so another example, a clothing boutique might get a ton of likes on an Instagram post, but without the ability to capture email addresses, you can't directly inform those same interested followers about sales or new arrivals. And so capturing leads through multiple touch points like email signups on your websites or link in bio pages, it ensures that you can convert those visitors, those followers to loyal and repeat customers.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to dig into here just a little bit, that idea of, I mentioned it, we're kind of saying it here, right? That idea of like owning your audience. So from your perspective, like what does that really mean and why is that so important?
Yeah, to me, owning your audience means having a direct line of communication with people who have explicitly shown interest in your brand, typically through an email list, without a dependency on a governing social platform to store those records and make them available to you. It's your list, you own it, you can carry it from platform to platform. and you have 100% control over that email list and how you communicate with them. So unlike social media, your reach isn't dependent on platform algorithms or policies. If social media changes their algorithm and start to defavor your content, your email list still remains that stable asset of being able to get in front of those people who value your products and services. And so that stability means that you have a reliable way to grow your email list, maintain customer relationships, regardless of any of those external changes that might be happening kind of cross platforms. And so to me, like, your email and your contact list is that valuable asset for sustained customer engagement. It's effective lead generation. It's revenue growth. That engaged email list allows you to nurture those leads, build customer loyalty, and directly promote your products or services without the reliancy on social platforms that you just candidly don't own.
I think you bring up a good point, and I just want to make it clear for everyone when you're hearing this, because that idea, again, of owning, you mentioned that you can kind of take it with you. And I think that's the big thing that we're really trying to get across here, right? Is that, like, if a social site goes down or goes away, which many of them sometimes do, you don't have anything to take with you. You did all of that work. It's gone. But to your point, obviously we hope you're using Constant Contact and you stay with us. But if you wanted to, you can export that list. You own it, right? Those are contacts that have given you, as the business owner, permission to contact them. And I think that's the big difference here is what we're talking about when we're talking about ownership. It's not just moving it to someplace else, which obviously we do think it's a good idea to diversify as well in what you're doing, but it's that ownership piece that's really, really key. Ryan, you've obviously spent a lot of time thinking about folks who are kind of brand new to this, and maybe they don't even consider themselves marketers like a lot of our customers when you start thinking about it. But what do you say to someone who's like, well, I don't have a list yet. What do they got to do?
Yeah, no, I think it's an interesting question, because the whole concept of list, and at least when I think about it, it's like I have an Excel sheet with names and email addresses and information, but you'd be surprised at what kind of quote unquote lists you actually have, whether it's contacts in your phone, folks that you actually interact with on your Gmail. So many small businesses today start with their business name at Gmail. And so you have contacts in a variety of places. And social being one of them, where it is eyeballs, but now you have to have like the right tool or test out some things to kind of convert those eyeballs into a warm lead, which is giving you information, an email address, and it allows you to kind of prime the pump of those that you can talk to directly via email and other channels. I think one of the most important things to acknowledge is wherever a list or direct contact information lives, it does not mean that you have to start with hundreds of them at day zero or when you're getting going. Building a business, any kind of business, any size of business, takes time. And you start small, start with your network, and then they're going to help you build that list over time. So it's not, hey, let's get to the top of the 5,000-foot mountain at the start. It's really kind of thinking about how do you interact with folks that you want to interact with as your business. How do you kind of feed them into your system and allow them to help you do the heavy lifting of broadening your eyeballs, broadening your list size, and broadening who you can communicate with one-on-one?
Yeah. So I'd like you to tell us a little bit about, one of the new features that we're kind of bringing into Constant Contact is it's called Lead Magnet. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that. And we kind of talked about this idea of businesses really starting on social. And I think this is one of those tools that's really focused on helping that sort of customer, right? Like move people from social to that place that they own. So tell us a little bit about what Lead Magnet is, and maybe we should clarify a little bit, right? Because I think some people have in their brain what a lead magnet is, but what we're talking about here is a tool called Lead Magnet, right? So maybe you can tell us what that is and give us a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah, so over the last handful of months, we've been building and iterating and getting feedback along the way of this tool that is called Lead Magnet. You can, like a traditional lead magnet, you can add documents to the end or like sweeteners to help users or help potential contacts come through. But what Lead Magnet does, the intention is for it to be a super quick way to get quick surveys, quick sign-up forms, link in bio, or like a social link tree that you can link off of one of your social media platforms to get those things set up quickly so you can kind of help amplify, one, your social profile health. So you have kind of these different mechanisms that aren't just from your news feed or from your profile to allow people or potential leads to find out more about you. But it's also an intuitive, quick way for mobile specifically, where someone can like give you little bits of feedback. And I put myself in, if you think about a real estate agent, for an example, lots of open houses, trying to source buyers and sellers, different things that they do. And the ability to know a couple pieces of information about you, what kind of home you're looking for, where you're looking for it, what's your price range, things like that, just helps them have a more warm conversation with you about how they can help you kind of get to where you need to go. So our tool is intended to be quick. It's intended to be easy. It's intended to be shareable. So you can use it to actually help complement any content that you're putting on social and drive users into that kind of, or potential clients into that funnel of getting more one-on-one with you.
Yeah. I like that distinction just in terms of when we say lead, like this is really more of the true lead in many instances, right? Where I think the real estate is the perfect example. If somebody's in the market to buy a house, you can start to find out right away, like, okay, like where are you? Is this the first house you've purchased, right? You can start getting answers to those questions that gives you information as the agent or whatever the case may be, who gets that information and then can reach out to that person right away. And so we're talking about true leads in that instance, right? Where I think sometimes when we're talking about just contacts in general and kind of building a list, those people may or may not be actually more qualified to actually be a customer of yours. You get various reasons why people sign up for a list, right? And sometimes it's not always to be a customer. And so what I really like about that is that distinction between what Lead Magnet does and maybe, Jesus, I'll go back to you when you start thinking about maybe some of our more traditional customers or folks that we have now, like all of the different ways that they can actually look to grow that contact list. And I know you've kind of talked about it, about this way of all of this different kind of traffic, right, that you have coming to you. You want to talk us through some of that and maybe some of the tools that we have to help out folks when they're trying to grow their list from these different sources?
Yeah. The 4 kind of channels that I envision, I guess there's 3 channels and one maybe like growing aspect of it. So the first one is website traffic. Second is social media platforms. The third is any type of in-person traffic, whether that's events or in a storefront. And then fourth is like, I don't have an audience or any traffic yet, and I want to grow that. So you might have started the social page, you might have started the website, you might have opened the storefront, but you don't have any of what Ryan called, right, those eyeballs on any of those things yet, and you need to generate that interest. And so starting with social media, I think an emerging best practice and even something that's starting to become kind of expected by social followers is a tool that you make available to your followers in the form of a link in bio or a link tree page that really provides followers or visitors with a single point of access to all of your different pages, especially a sign-up form for your email list. So I see people linking out to, YouTube and TikTok and all of these other platforms, but it's also that let me email you, right? Like let's join the list and let's keep this conversation going. And so for those who are just starting out or maybe don't have a huge following, I love to recommend social ads to reach a wider audience and invite them to join your list or invite them to follow you, check out your website. I think there's this perception that social or Google ads are pricey, and some of them can be, depending on the reach that you're trying to gain and the how many days and the duration of the ads. But typically, you can run an ad for as little as like $1 to $5 a day and still get some decent reach of reaching new people who can be driven to your social pages. For those who have websites and blogs, you already have people visiting those pages, whether they're checking out at your store or they're reading the blog posts that you're offering. So capturing that intention or that interest by forms of things like website pop-up forms or inline sign-up forms gives those users the ability to quickly say, I liked this content, I liked your products and services, I want more, and I want to stay in the loop. A best practice that I see, especially with people who offer products or services, is the website pop-up with an incentive to that visitor. If you join my email list, like maybe you came here to buy a product, give me your email, join my list, I'll give you 15% off your first order. That's a pretty typical and standard mechanism for getting somebody to convert into an email contact through an incentive that you offer to them. And then in-person audiences. So again, that's storefronts, hosted events, community events, any type of kind of person face-to-face interactions that you're having. That experience is gold. That's like the ultimate type of buy-in that you can have versus websites and socials where you don't get to interact with people face to face. Like this is one of the highest touch points and engagement points. And so you want to make it easy for that physical audience or those people you're interacting with to go from a physical interaction to a digital contact. And so we offer sign-up forms and landing pages that you can connect to QR codes. so that somebody can take out their phone, scan it, be brought to your sign up page, and join your contact list in the same interaction as they're at your booth or having this conversation with you. And so again, that kind of like fourth no traffic bucket is like social, Google paid ads. Some platforms like TikTok do help people with no audience be pushed out to those who don't know you yet. But again, that like virality isn't always guaranteed. And so to me, like paid social and Google ads really helps you with defining your target audiences, defining your daily target spend. And that really helps to get your product, services, or brand in front of those who just aren't familiar with you yet.
Yeah. A couple things I want to add in here, right? So I just want to talk about the pop-ups because I think this is probably an underutilized tool in many instances because oftentimes, and I hear this a lot, right? People say, oh, I hate pop-ups, right? They take it very personally, like, oh, I hate when that happens. And okay, I get it, sure, because a lot of times people don't implement them in a great way. But one, they work. People will sign up when they see those things. But I think also you have to think about it. Think about what that experience is. And I think in any of these tools that you use should not be done without thinking through the experience for the user, right? Meaning, make it additive to the experience of them coming to your site. So rather than it being a thing that's interrupting them and getting in the way, right? You can change the timing on these things. I remember I used to use one on my site after someone has been on like a piece of content for a few minutes. And then it would pop up and like, hey, you passed the 2-minute test, right? Seems like you really like this information. Why not get on my newsletter to get stuff first? So it's like, you can use it in smart ways, not just, oh, I'm trying to get to a thing and now this thing is bothering me. You can think about it in ways to do things that are additive, even if they're looking at specific content. Like, hey, you really seem to be liking this article about this thing. Do you want to get my free checklist on how to do this thing, right? Think of smart ways that you can do that. I wanted to mention that because I think so many people are quick to dismiss that because it's something they personally don't like. But you do that, cut off your nose to spite your face. You're missing an opportunity to do something with that. The other piece is that I think this is a newer piece of technology that we have within Constant Contact, but you can actually create these QR codes within Constant Contact now, right? So I think that's important and I think that's a great thing because I know that's always like a big headache. It's like, okay, now I got to go create a QR code. Where do I got to go do that? And then you're like searching out for this stuff. So I love that we have that in there now. So I just want to encourage people to check that out. Mike, I want to go over to you and say, like, let's say we start implementing some of these things, whether that's, lead magnet or we're putting a pop-up up and we start getting contacts into the back end, right? We've got our contacts in Constant Contact. What's next? Like, what happens once we've got them in there?
Yeah. So touching on owning the audience, once you have your contacts in Constant Contact, we want to help you by being the source of truth for these contacts. And so we want to give you a one-stop shop that has their email addresses, any other contact information that you've collected about them, and help power other things throughout the app as well. Just make it super easy for you to manage them, put them in different lists, different segments, look at different views. A column on a table can be any kind of field that you'd like. So you can have a very customized view that's what's important to you.
So I get this question a lot in terms of like, well, is Constant Contact, is it a CRM? And I know we kind of make this distinction between it's not a CRM as much as it is like what you would think of your typical sales type of thing, but it's really more of a marketing CRM. Can you talk to me about what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the direction we want to go. We want to really lean into this MCRM, what we're calling a marketing CRM. And we want to take out all the best marketing features of that CRM and really put that in front of users. We're not focused on the full sales aspect. We're not trying to do account marketing or pipeline deals, anything like that, but give you a full-fledged contact profile that has all the data. We talked about events. We talked about lead magnet. All these things could be translated to a contact profile, and you can see all of that information about your contacts in one stop.
Can you maybe share some examples of, right? Because we always talk the money is in the list, right? And a lot of that boils down to the data that you have and the things that you can do. Can you talk to me a little bit about, or share some examples of how using in the information that you have within Constant Contact and help them use that information a little bit better so they can do more, I want to say, targeted or just better marketing in many instances?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a ton of data about these contacts it's not really surfaced very well. And so that's the first step we want to do is just bring that to the surface and just put that in front of users and let them see all that. So you can see event registrations and how many they attended, how many lists they're on, how many emails they've been sent and opened, clicked. From there, you can take that information and build an automated segment. And then this email is opened more times than that email is. And you can kind of compare the different tones that you're using, the different content that's in there. And we can make suggestions based on that. So if a segment is more focused on your VIPs or like your frequent buyers, you can send them luxury items or high valued items that they're going to buy. But folks that are maybe less engaged, send them a coupon to entice them to actually get on your site and buy something.
Talk to me a little bit about, and I know we might not be there 100% yet, but of course, AI comes into play here in a lot of instances, particularly when we start talking about content creation, for example. Of course, you've got ways you can do that within Constant Contact. It can help you even create full campaigns if you want to do that. But I think what's really interesting, and I've always found fascinating, is the way AI can kind of help you with the data and kind of start to uncover things in the information that you have. Can you give us maybe a preview of like how AI may end up showing up within the contacts experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So AI is very good at taking that large data set and finding patterns within it. So we want to focus on basically everything I just said, but do it automatically for you. So take all that data, suggest different segments that you can build out for yourself. And then from there, suggest different content to send to those segments. We want to also focus on surfacing that data and maybe summarizing it. And so instead of having to look at individual stats, you can get like a paragraph or a couple sentences about what this contact is or what this group of contacts is to better understand who you're marketing to.
Yeah, I love that idea of just really being able to dig into that and then offer right suggestions, giving people ideas. And Ryan, I know you're big on this idea of really trying new things. And I think this is one of those things that I think you just really need to put this hat on, right? When you're thinking about marketing, I think everybody kind of wants the answer. And I think the reality is the answer is always, it depends. And so that means you kind of have to go into it with like that mentality of like trying things and adopting that testing mentality. Talk to me a little bit about how somebody should be thinking about that and even getting over that idea of like, well, I'm not ready. It's not perfect yet. Right? Like that whole thing. Talk to me about that.
Admittedly, we all try to do it in our day-to-day, whether it's professional or personal, right? Sometimes if you overthink what you want to do, you end up getting this feeling of you don't end up doing it. So sometimes I'm not suggesting like there's a shoot from the hip and just like go. Like you have to have some plan of how you want to move forward. But I think the beauty of doing things digitally, whether it's via email, on social, directing people to links in bio or things like that, this stuff can update in real time. So you can try something, see if there's a signal of it working. Like you got 5 more kind of leads that came in on this kind of post with this link. Keep going with it. But if it doesn't work, you can try posting it on a different platform or a post the next day about something slightly different that will bring more people to kind of engage with your content. The other thing that I will say, going back to kind of what Mike was alluding to, contacts is kind of like the brain. There's a lot of information in there. It's like the central hub. And then you could think of, and I know maybe you can see us, maybe not, but like from Jesus and my perspective, like it's kind of like the arms, the legs, ways you can use it. What this brain can tell you or help you understand is different channels, different messages, different outreach that you can try, see if those things work or not, and then try something different or continue down because you found something that worked. I know it's not academic or scientific of like the steps to go through, but what I think our platform collectively does very well, it's kind of, hey, you're this kind of business, you're trying to do this thing or achieve this goal. Here's a starting point of a few things to try. And trying is better than not trying at all.
Right. Not doing anything at all. I think that's the big thing, right? You have to do things in order to get the feedback, and then you can learn from the feedback. But if you don't do anything, you got nothing to learn from, right? You got nothing to move on from.
For folks just like listening to this and all of your other version or the podcasts that have been sent and like all those that listen, it's only so much time in the day. And so much of that time is focused on perfecting your product, your service, your offering, and it's you, right? As a business owner, those are you. And our goal is to help you figure out how to get you out there and to kind of engage with people and convert them into leads and help you succeed with kind of what your passion is, which is running your business.
Yeah. Well, take that same passion that you put into taking those steps to get started with your business and just apply that to marketing, right? It's just about getting started and doing. You're not going to break anything. You're going to end up finding out what works and what doesn't, and then learning, but growing through that along the process. So I'm excited about all the work you guys are doing, and I'm excited about the new things and the updates that we have coming to the product for our customers. And so I want to put you each on the spot here a little bit, but What's one small thing from your perspective, someone listening today, one of our customers could really try to start growing or just even better managing their list? Jesus, I'm going to go to you first.
My recommendation would be to conduct an audit of all of your pages and the tools that you have access to or provide others with access to, and ask yourself, how easy is it for one person who visits my Instagram page to find my sign up form, to find my TikTok, to find my storefront? I often have talked with small businesses who have all of these different social media platforms, but from one, you would never be able to find the other. And so unless I send you all of my direct links, do you have the ability to quickly and easily find me on all of the places that you would like for me to reach you at? So put yourself in your community, your audience's shoes, and ask how easy it is for them to find you on other channels and to join your email list.
Yeah. Mike, what's going on from your perspective?
Yeah, I see users just uploading or adding contacts that they already have, but it's just an email address. I would really like to encourage folks to add any data they have via custom fields that we already provide. Just add that data in, and then you can use that as a basis to create segments and really target specific groups within your list. We see a lot of return on users doing a segmented send rather than just a bulk list send. They get better opens, they get better clicks. And so that would be the first step I would take.
I'm going to go macro and then go micro. So a kind of two-parter. Macro, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I think there's trying, there's changing, there's pivoting, and being comfortable with that kind of ambiguity, that how you're working and how you're running and launching and growing your business. It takes time. It's not, none of us are overnight success. So I mean, it takes time to get there. On a micro level, I will say, coming from it from like a new growth kind of capture or bringing in and acquiring new leads, 100 eyeballs is as good as one person that you interact with kind of walking down Main Street in your local city or town. So like the ability for you to, yes, have content that engages a variety of folks on a social platform, that's important. And getting one person to come through that pipeline, incredibly important. But even having something available on your phone when you are even going to another establishment, so many missed opportunities of that one-on-one interaction to convert them into a potential lead for your business. I think thinking of it from marathon, not a sprint, and every interaction is important, whether it's 100 people that see a post or you come across one person every day. Ultimately, at the end of the week, you have 5 or 7 new leads if you're kind of getting one a day. So just the kind of like thinking it from that perspective, that personal interaction, it's a warm lead no matter where they come from, but that human to human interaction and being able to sell your business to that potential lead is important, and don't miss those in-person opportunities of one-on-one interaction.
Yeah, love that. Fellas, thank you so much. I appreciate the time and sharing kind of what we've been working on for our customers here. I think I'll just remind everybody that at the end of the day, your contact list in many ways is a health score for your business, right? Because you've got this group of people that are direct relationships that you own. Again, there's that word again, right? And you've got a better chance to grow if you can keep and continue with those direct relationships, because the tools are going to change, the platforms are going to shift, but the list is yours. Those are your people to contact. And so really start thinking about, I would even challenge you to maybe put a little bit of that energy that you're putting into social media, because you often have to feed that beast in so many ways. Put a little bit of that, more of that energy into growing that list and taking care of those folks that have raised their hand to say, yes, they want to connect with you in that format, because ultimately that list growth is business growth, and you're going to see some more practical changes from really doing that. So, gentlemen, thanks again. Good talking to you, and we'll talk to you soon. Well, friend, let's recap some items from that discussion. Number 1, own your audience. Social platforms can change or disappear completely. When you have an email list, you have a direct line to your customers. So take advantage of the list growth features within your Constant Contact account. Number 2, start with what you have. Connect with those people you already have an existing business relationship with. Ask them to join your list. Enrich that data where possible, and then grow from there. And number 3, segment and personalize. Use the data you collect to send targeted content that drives better results. Constant Contact can help you by automatically segmenting based on the specific information that you have about your contacts. So take advantage of that to get better results from your marketing efforts. Now, here's your action item for today. Try using Constant Contact's lead magnet feature. Now, this feature helps you convert your social followers into real leads that you can follow up with. It's designed to be quick and easy to set up, and of course, easy to share, especially in places like your social profiles. As always, more details in the show notes. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Be a Marketer podcast. Please take a moment to leave us a review. Just go to ratethispodcast.com/BAM. Your honest feedback will help other small business marketers like yourself find the show. That's ratethispodcast.com/BAM. Well, friend, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and continued success to you and your business.